Martin, thank you for joining us on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. First of all, just your initial reactions to, the damning incidents that happened at Tynecastle last night.
Well, Ronnie, basically, the coin gets thrown onto the park, Neil, and then Neil hits the ground. So my first reaction is, how serious is it? But these are obviously things that have been going on in Neil's life now for the best part of 18 years. I think that, these things have got to be addressed very, very quickly in Scottish football, because a lot of these people that are going to games and are attacking managers or throwing coins, we just can't have that in football.
In terms of Neil himself, as you rightly said there, this has not been a solo incident. These have been incidents that have happened throughout Neil's life. If you just elaborate on that for us a little bit, if you would.
Well, basically these things have been going on now since he came in to Celtic in 2000, and he made his debut against Dundee at Dens Park, and basically nobody really knew who he was then. He came up from England in a big huge transfer, and he was targeted from the first kick of the ball at Dens Park. And it's been going on now. We're in 2018, nearly 2019. It's still going on.
And for Neil himself, there's this image that's painted of him as being the villain, but obviously you'll know as being his agent more than anyone else. But it's just simply not the case.
No, it's certainly not the case. He's anything but a villain. He's a very professional guy. Loves his job. Every club that he's been at, he's worked himself to the bone regarding winning matches and under pressure and all the things going on off the park that he's had to deal with, and still winning games. He's won umpteen titles as a player and as a manager. He then went down to Bolton for 18 months, never had one bit of hassle in 18 months. Kept him up from relegation. Then comes back to Scotland, wins a promotion with Hibs, gets them up, keeps them up, gives a great account of themselves last season, and every ground he still goes to, he still gets the same abuse.
On the point that, some people, for instance Gary Caldwell was making, that, he goes to the fans and he brings a lot of that on himself. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I actually last night when I was driving back in the car from the match with Irene and Neil's son in the car, somebody texted me to say he'd said it. I didn't believe it at the start. I can't understand where Gary's coming there, because obviously he's worked with Neil as a player, they've been teammates. For him to come out with that statement, basically saying that he brings it on himself, for me is just absolute nonsense. He doesn't bring it on himself. He reacts to things that are given to him. If he gets abused for 90 minutes, if you're trying to say that basically he can't turn around and have cup his ears or do an aeroplane, or is that really that bad? I can understand if he picked the coin up and threw it back into the stand, then we've got a problem. Or if he goes and does what Eric Cantona done many years ago and jumps in the crowd, then his feet wouldn't touch the ground. But it's basically banter here. If he's getting abused, and it's sectarianism abuse, that's exactly what it is. If he's getting abused for 90 minutes at every ground in Scotland that he goes to, and he has a reaction if he scores a goal or they get a penalty or whatever it is. Last year, great game at Easter Road, very entertaining, scoring the last kick of the ball. Neil runs onto the park, does the aeroplane. I think a lot of Rangers fans would have been probably a bit of humour in that. There's going to be one or two who are not happy because he's come on the park. Marino was on the park, nobody says about it. Other managers go on the park, nobody says about it. But Neil's on the park and it's a ban. So there's one thing for him and one thing for everybody else. And listen, it's not about sticking up here and saying what this is. The facts are things that happen to Neil are blown away up. The fact is, he goes outside of football, he's abused, sectarianism abuse every single day of his life, and it has been going on since he took that park. He took the pitch at Dens Park that night.
For you, you alluded to that there, but why does it seem to be that it is Neil? As you say, that so many managers have done it in the past. Is there enough being done to protect Neil in that sense?
No, there's nothing being done to protect him, because he's had, if you think back to Paul Gascoigne many years ago, who was a wonderful footballer, probably one of the greatest to play up in Scotland, done the float incident. I can't remember Paul Gascoigne getting attacked in the street, can't remember Paul Gascoigne getting attacked in the park, can't remember anything happening there. So listen, people have got a thing about Neil, that they think he's this thug type character. Well, they obviously don't know him. Neil Lennon is a very, very intelligent man. He's a very, very good manager, and he's professional. I mean, very professional at what he does, whether he's a player or whether he's a manager. Outside of football, he's got a very, very private life. But he knows that everywhere he goes, whether it's going out for a meal or going out for a beer, or he's got to take precaution, because he's going to get abused. He knows that.
You mentioned that this abuse has started, 18 years ago and still continue now. Are you worried for him as a human being more than anything else, the psychological effect this will have? Are you worried that, he then just says, enough is enough with football and moves that to one side? Do you think that could be something that you would have to think about to an extent one day, maybe?
Well, I think when you get to a certain stage of your career, for me, he's played, and for most of the listeners, he's played in probably arguably the best Celtic team since 1967, Martin O'Neill's team, and they went on to do some fantastic things for obviously for the club, and Neil was a big massive part of that. He then leaves Celtic and goes down to play Nottingham Forest, and Wickham then comes back to Celtic as a coach under Gordon, and then he becomes manager when Tony leaves. So there's a lot of things when you're a manager, especially a club the size of Celtic, get support all over the world who idolise him. But then, and this is not about Celtic and Rangers here, it's society. He gets abused at Tynecastle, he'll get abused at Kilmarnock, and I'm just using them as examples. Every ground that Neil Lennon goes to, he will get abused. That's fact. So where does this, I bring it on myself here? Well, he goes to Ibrox now. He's not been attacked at Ibrox. He's not had a coin thrown at Ibrox. I think a lot of the Rangers fans that are in the stand, where they'll give him a bit, he'll give them a bit back. I think they'll take it. The majority of them, the real Rangers fans, will take it and banter, and they'll give him it and he'll give it back. And that's what it should be. That's what football's all about. These guys are here to entertain. They're not here to be abused. They're not here to be coins thrown at them and guys running out of stands and running onto the park and assaulting a manager. That's never happened anywhere in football that I can remember. So these things have got to be taken out of basically our game very, very quickly, or it's going to suffer, because another Neil Lennon in 5 years from now, maybe coming to Celtic, might look at this and think, I'm not doing that. I don't fancy putting my wife and kids through that for the next 10 years. So, and I can't actually think of anybody that it would actually happen to. And obviously, I know there's been instances with Rangers players as well. I get all that. That's the 90-minute thing. I'm talking about after the game, every day, what's going on outside of football. And that's the thing that I'm talking about. And it's sectarianism abuse. 2 weeks ago, we're all holding up red cards about racism and get it out, and that should not be in society, never mind football. But sectarianism is the exact same thing, and we don't talk about it. We come over the top of it. It's basically, oh well, it's just Neil, it's Lenny having another thing. Well, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It's basically Racism, sectarianism, it's the same thing. It needs stamped out of Scottish football.
What would be, first of all, your message to those fans who are taking part in these obscene, horrible actions?
I think they need a very good look at themselves. I mean, go and do something else. Take your anger out somewhere else. Don't come to football. There's many other sports you can go. I mean, it's. I just think that if you're going to go to a football match with an intent of running on a park and attacking somebody, you shouldn't be on the ground. If you can give it, and I'm saying 90-minute bigots, whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, people are passionate about football clubs, and quite rightly so. Once the game's over, we've all got friends that are both sides of the Old Firm or both sides of the Edinburgh derbies or whatever. You go to have a pint, you go to have a laugh, you go to have a... That's it, it's done. But there's people that take it to the next extreme, and that's where the problem is. And Neil has been victimised with this. As I said, we can't talk about cupping the ears and doing aeroplanes and all that kind of stuff because he got it his very first night at Dundee when nobody knew him. So how does he bring it on that night? Does he bring it on because he's got blonde hair? Does he bring it on because he's a £6-point-something million transfer? Does he bring it on because why? He brings it on because he's Irish, he's Catholic, he played for Northern Ireland and he signed for Celtic. He had 39 games for Northern Ireland before he came to Celtic and wasn't abused once. As soon as he signed for Celtic, the game started.
And finally, your message to the authorities on how to try and tackle this issue and keep those players and managers and Neil safe, I suppose.
The authorities, well, I mean, personally for me, they need to have a look at themselves as well, because somebody's got to... Listen, if that coin hits his eye last night, and what are we going to say? Oh, that shouldn't be happening. I mean, of course it shouldn't be happening. The fact is, the governing bodies now have got to really have a look at themselves and get round a table and get this sorted out. As I said, 2 weeks ago, we're all doing the racism card, and quite rightly so, shouldn't be in the game. But it's time to bring out a sectarianism card and get that out of the game, because that's, for me, just as every bit as important as racism.
Martin Riley, agent of Neil Lennon, thank you very much for joining us on Super Scoreboard.
Thanks for having me, thank you.